As I explained in my last video, there is no story in Minecraft, so there is no need to add anything that directly impacts survival or completion of a story. To clarify, the type of content being released in Minecraft continues that trend. Every update seems to focus towards the route of creativity and not survival. I asked someone the other day that was not so interested in Minecraft and what he thought about it. He had played it before and experienced both survival and creative. The best way he could describe the game was that creative was place and destroy blocks, while survival was place and destroy blocks, but it takes longer. And even before he said that, it took me years to realize that is exactly what Minecraft is. You can easily spend 30 hours building a castle in survival, or you could build that exact same castle in creative mode, but it will take significantly less time. You don't need to build a castle in survival just as much as you don't need to build one in creative. Obviously, you don't need to do anything creative because that's the game mode's purpose, but the extra time needed in survival to create the exact same thing ultimately means wasted effort with no real purpose. Why would I need to spend all this time building an insane castle when there is no functional reason to do so? The sandbox in Minecraft is big, but not in depth. There is no difference between a 20 chunk by 20 chunk castle with poorly built redstone doors and lava moats, and a tiny wooden hut or a hole in the mountainside. The most you are required to do to survive, or not die, is to find food and not take as much damage from monsters. The bare minimum would be that as you are hunting animals for food, you keep running away from the monsters that didn't have a chance to kill you if you just sprinted away. Meaning if you don't have a home, you can just spend all of your days running away from danger while at the same time removing the only other thing that can kill you: hunger. But as each update that is released comes along with new ways to mass produce any item that you want, be it food or blocks, everything in the game is becoming far more renewable and far easier to access. These item farms mostly consist of AFK input, meaning you can sit back and relax while the game plays for you. An example of this would be lava. I'm going to be talking about this more in detail in later episodes, but being able to get infinite amount of lava from your home or a massive farm built from dripstone and cauldrons proves my point. Building in survival has the only use of blocking enemies from travelling towards you. Basically a home. Enemies aren't inherently designed to think smart or have abilities to work around your buildings, so creating a massive castle has no functional difference than a tiny hut. In other terms, monsters don't purposefully damage buildings to reach you, creepers don't blow up unless you're right next to them, and zombies only come towards you once you're in range of sight. Really, there are no mobs to test your ability to build. Some would argue illagers are exactly that, but if you build a perfectly solid wall and gather a huge load of arrows, being able to completely destroy the invading army without any casualties is far from difficult. On top of that, illagers are the village's enemy. They are not yours. You don't have to defend the village from the illagers, and you get to choose if the raid happens in the first place. But other than mining and crafting having some level of contribution to your survival, you don't need buildings to survive. Destroying and placing blocks being the main point of Minecraft is not needed to survive. Building can aid your survival for sure, but innovating for the intention of living is not necessary. Innovating for vanity is the primary reason to build. Other features that have been added boast themselves in being useful tools, but I see them as more reason to use Minecraft survival as a creative tool than more of a game of survival. In creative, you can fly, be invulnerable, have endless storage, and indestructible storage. But what if I told you you could do that exact same thing in survival? You can get elytras to fly, totems of undying to not die, you can have shulker boxes to create significantly bigger storage, and finally the ender chests create indestructible storage. Obviously they do have their pros and cons, but they aren't as efficient as normal creative functions, but they mimic those exact things. Not as explicit as the previous four, but being able to mass produce most items means you have all the blocks you'll ever need at your fingertips. Villagers give an immense amount of food, clearing the need to farm, and temples are just cheats for easy tools and important items like diamonds, clearing the need to mine. But what about animal farms? If you build yourself an automatic cook steak farm, then you don't have to worry about food for the rest of the game. One thing that people don't realize is how water monuments are purely for creative sake and not survival. This segment is not me saying that they are poorly designed, but what their intention is. You don't need to enter a water monument for your survival, and the loot is far from good. On the surface, they are for conquering and nothing else. But what can you get? Sponges and guardians. You know what would be very useful to have if you wanted to build a massive structure underwater with the hundreds of item slots in your expansive and indestructible storage? You would want sponges. You know what would be very useful to have if you want an insane amount of fish, prismarine shards and crystals? To build another useless building for the only fact that you wanted to? You would want guardians. You could make similarities to other locations or buildings, but the point being that the game world is designed for you to not survive, but easily thrive. Exploitation is innovation in Minecraft. Starting from wood, it doesn't take much to become an overlord of your Minecraft world with little effort, which gives me the impression that survival is a bad name to use. Some would call this game mode Conquer. To an extent, I would agree with them. Most of the time that you do things in the game is because you decided to, but the game doesn't warrant a reaction out of you. The game doesn't force or encourage you to enter any dungeons. The game doesn't make you kill the Ender Dragon, and the game doesn't encourage you to use any of the systems because there is no need for them. You interact for the sake of interacting. Survival isn't about survival, it's creative with minor inconveniences. I am not saying that since I have critiqued survival, you can't enjoy it as it is. I even liked Minecraft Survival for the longest time, and even more so when it was with friends. But there was always something in the back of my mind telling me that survival wasn't worth it. Like other people when playing online, playing with friends and having a survival world was the main way to play. For years on end, we would make a survival world after survival world with friends that always ended in disaster. But why? It's because we play to destroy each other's buildings. For Minecraft to have no other goal than to creatively express yourself in a game of survival, what other than to destroy what other people have made? There is no reason to build other than you want to in Minecraft, so why get in the game in the first place? It was after all that I decided to create a new world in survival, but with a goal. Personally, I have never made a city before, and I assume all of my other friends hadn't either. So I set forth with a plan which can involve everyone, and so this will create a common goal for all of us to complete, and we wouldn't be able to complete it without each other. To quickly explain what the plan was, we had to build a city of skyscrapers, 4 chunks in size, with roads and sidewalks only 1 chunk in size, surrounding each building. Meaning we had to build towers 32 by 32 blocks in size with wide roads in between. These towers wouldn't reach the sky limit, but we had put enough resources into each one so it would look like a skyscraper. After multiple months of constant building and working on this project, we had built 50 or more buildings, and after moving away to look at how much work was done, we would say it was quite the sight to see. Early on in the project we had tons of fun, but it got to a point where there was only so many we could build before building in survival became a very foolish thing to do. Eventually, and after some in-game destruction of various buildings, we decided that building in creative mode was what we were going to do. But why? Because we were not going to complete this same exact skyscraper regardless of if we were in survival mode or not. Why waste time getting the resources manually when we can get them instantly in creative? There was no reason to build them in survival like any other structure. If they don't directly impact our ability to survive, what difference does it make if they were made in creative mode? The answer is no difference. Like in the last video, I said that there were people who were motivated to use Minecraft systems because they had to, and those who were using Minecraft because they wanted to. Clearly, the people who want to use Minecraft systems because they want to would be inclined to build the skyscrapers, and there are those who build because they have to will be more inclined to do so because it will have an impact on their survival. My ideas shouldn't shut up the players who play survival for the sake of showing off their creative side, and the current state of Minecraft needs to change so it doesn't shut off the player base who intend on playing the bloody game for what it was labelled for: survival. This means I have a solution, and I do. but I'll keep teasing it until the right episodes come along for me to reveal it. But I think that is enough for today. I don't know what the next video will be, and I don't know when it will come out, but most likely within the week. All opinions are welcome, so please comment below if you have anything to add. Thanks for watching.